Hi, I'm Drew. Tonight I'm going to tell you a story you can't refuse.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I have a story about a band of real brothers that fought together in World War II.
Hi, I'm Gina, and I have a story about the royal family that's a love story for the ages.
How are all these stories related by the topic family? Find out in this episode of History Bluffs. Hello and welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. It's where truth is stranger than fiction. And now I want to welcome to the show, it's your host, it's Chris!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of History Bluffs. So great to have you all here. We are thrilled to be back for another week, and both for the viewers watching us on YouTube and our other channels, as well as those listening on our podcast. So, as Adam, our tech extraordinaire, mentioned, tonight's episode is based off of the topic family. So we are going to hear from three historians that are going to tell us stories inspired by the word family, and then we are going to collectively figure out who is tonight's bluff for this week's show. Yes, because even I don't know which one of our three outstanding panelists is the bluff for tonight's show.
What? You don't know?
No, only Adam knows. Only Adam the tech knows.
That's right, just me.
Yes. So let's meet our three historians, shall we? First up, I'm going to bring Drew to the center of the screen.
Let's
Drew,
get everybody up there. There we go.
There we are. Let's get everybody up. So Drew is right there. Hello, Drew. Welcome.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks.
Fantastic. When you, other than the story that you have now tonight for tonight's show, in your real life, family, what is the holiday season that we're in now, as we approach the home stretch of the holiday season? Do you have a lot of time to get together with family, as it were?
Well, actually, I am. So, as some of you know, I'm in Chicago, but most of you, I think, are in Florida, and as is my family. So I am going to be coming down to your neck of the woods in a few weeks.
Very nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
So if you do anything in the show, if you upset us in the show, we can get back to you personally about it.
That's right.
When you arrive in town.
That's right. All right. So our second historian is Melissa. Hello, Melissa. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing well.
All right. Yes, as Drew pointed out, he's in Chicago. The rest of us are in Florida. So, Melissa, is all your family in Florida? Do you have anybody around the country?
Yeah, so I have an uncle, aunt and uncle, and some of their other family, extended family out by Cincinnati, so Ohio area.
All right. Ohio. Okay.
Yes.
Hey.
Well,
hey.
oh, hi to them. And our third historian is Gina. And Gina, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
And Gina and I are both from New York originally,
Yes.
so I know that she has family spread out as well, like I do. And Gina, are you going to meet up with any of your family or in-laws during the holiday season?
So very cool. My aunt's birthday is on Christmas Day, and she's turning 90 this year. However, because it's difficult to travel in and everything, we're going to celebrate in March. So my hope is that she makes it. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I mean,
and then we're going to do a big 90th birthday celebration. She certainly will make it. Her mother lived to 104. So I think.
Wow.
All right. Well, we are excited to hear the stories that you're going to share with us tonight, inspired by the topic family. And let's get right to it. Adam, shall we see the rules card, please, for the show and explain how the rules work?
Rules? Yeah. Why, this is a game show. Let's bring out the rules card. I worked hard on it. Here you go. For those of you listening only, Chris is going to read them.
That's right. So our three historians are going to tell us stories, and two of our historians are telling true stories. One of our historians is bluffing. And as I mentioned at the top, Our job collectively is to try to figure out which of these three historians is this week's bluff. So the true stories are going to be factual stories, completely factual. The bluff story, however, is going to be a fictional-based story, the fictional premise to their story. Yes. It might have some real content in terms of, real places, and there might be some real world-renowned characters during that time period, or whatever time period they're telling the story about in their story. But the premise of their story is going to be false, going to be a bluff. And we ask for the audience to enjoy the show without the pressure of having to look up anything on the internet and try to debunk us and our stories in the middle of the show. We do have an opportunity for that at the end. We're going to have 3 rounds. How this show works is we're going to have 3 rounds of stories. And at the end of the 3rd round, we all get to make a guess as to who we believe, which of our 3 historians is the bluff for tonight. So save those accusations and until the very end. But feel free to comment throughout the show in the comments section. And then you can always email us or call us later on, and we'll edit it back into the show. No, we won't.
Call Chris.
No.
Call Chris. Let him know.
I'm bluffing with that. But all right. So let us just get right to it, shall we? Adam, you know what that means? That means we're going to go right to round number 1.
Let's do it. Round number 1.
All right. And as we see round number 1, for those of you listening, Adam's about to put above my head on screen the round tracker 9000 that will let us know as we go through rounds 1, 2, and 3 that we have heard from historian number 1, 2, and 3 in each of those 3 rounds. So there are 9 little dots up there as each historian tells their respective stories of each round. Those dots will be filled in. And when we get to all 9 dots, then we will have an opportunity to figure out who is tonight's bluff. So I'm going to start with Drew. Yes.
You said the bluff word.
I said that word.
word.
I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not going to fall for that, Adam. Drew. All right, sir. You are going to see a little sundial pop up on screen. You're going to hear a boom, and when that happens, your first round stories are going to be 75 seconds. You have 75 seconds to start. Each of our successive rounds will get shorter, and I'll explain that as we go. You're up.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about the 5 families, aka the Italian-American mafia crime families that operate out of New York City. Back in the 1920s, mafia operations in the U.S. were controlled by Giuseppe Joe the Boss Masseria, whose factions consisted mainly of gangsters from Sicily and the surrounding regions of southern Italy. Masseria's faction included Charles Lucky Luciano and Albert Mad Hatter Anastasia, among other colorful characters. This faction controlled New York until another powerful Sicilian, Don Vito Ferro, decided to make a bid for control of mafia operations. He sent Salvatore Maranzano from his base in Castellammare del Golfo, Sicily, to New York to seize control. The Castellammare faction included Joseph Joe Bananas Bonanno and Stefano the Undertaker Maggiadino. As both factions realized a clash was imminent, they each sought to recruit followers from smaller gangs to support them. This ultimately led to what's referred to as the Castellamarese War, which I will tell you more about in round number 2.
All right. Nicely done, Drew. Well done. Let's hear what the others think. Melissa, what do you think of Drew's opening round story there?
I just have a clarification about a name I heard, and that is Joe Bananas Bonanno. Is that right?
You heard that right, yes.
Okay. That's really my main question is Bananas Bonanno. A rhyme.
Okay. All right. Good. Getting some clarification. That's always important to hear.
Chris, I want to point out that in episode 50 something, I think it was Pass. I think Drew had Skookum Jim. This is a trend, and I don't recall if he was bluffing on that one. So these could be real; they could be bluff. Yeah, it could go either way.
I don't remember that as well. I do remember that show, and I remember Skookum Jim, but I don't remember if he was a bluff or not. But it does make you wonder if Joe Banana Bonanno was married to an Anna, because then she'd be Anna Banana Bonanno. Gina, what did you think of Drew's story there?
Do you really want to know? I do. I thought that he literally watched Goodfellas before this, because at the very beginning, when they talk about, they kind of set up the whole movie and they say, you live in an Italian neighborhood and everybody gives everybody nicknames. You got, Tony two times, Tony, and then you got Tony Bananas. My family has Tommy Bananas in it. So, I mean, like, it's plausible, but also a good trick, because as Drew has confessed to us in the past and sometimes in rehearsals, he does look all of this stuff up, even when he's bluffing. So he knows that Italians always give really fun nicknames already, whether they're in the mob or not. So that's a good trick, though, there, Drew. You could be lying. You could be truing. I don't know.
Good point. Good point indeed, Gina. All right. Well, with that in mind, let's move to our second historian for round number one. Melissa, we're going to bring you out and hear the opening round for you. And once again, you have 75 seconds in round one, and the floor is yours.
Have you ever learned something about your siblings that shocked you to your core? Well, perhaps none could say this more than the Akuni brothers. The Japanese-American family had 9 siblings in total, 5 brothers, 4 sisters. The father was named Richiro Akune, and he owned a Japanese-American a grocery store in California. They had moved there in 1918. He was known as a really generous guy. He helped people out when they were having trouble, but their world came crashing down when his wife and the mother to his children died during childbirth. Because the children had dual citizenship, he moved the family back to Japan. But later on, the 2 oldest boys, Ken and Harry, later moved back to LA in the United States because they kind of considered that home. And shortly after moving back, however, Pearl Harbor happened. So this meant several things. Number one, communication between the family was virtually impossible. They didn't want to raise suspicion. And second, due to tensions at the time between America and Japan, they were 2 of 120,000 that were sent to internment camp in Colorado. That's it.
All right.
Let's see what happens next.
We'll hear what happens next in the next round. Let's hear some comments. Gina, what did you think of Melissa's story?
Sad is what that is. But no, what caught me again was actually the names, because there's Richero, Kuno, or Kuni, and all the fun things, and then there are children, Ken and Harry. I really like
they
the
were
way
born in the States.
that is actually making me think she's bluffing, because the Japanese, to me, feel very similar to Italians in that they really honor their heritage and their namesakes and things like that. And I know of no Italian that names their child anything that sounds like Ken and Harry, and I would assume the same of a Japanese family. So I am hereby calling bluff right now.
All right. Well, very, very, very early accusation. I love it.
Wow.
Fantastic. Just for the record, it could be short for Kenatana or something. Just
fair. Okay. All right.
Saying. But it's a good point. You made a good point there. Drew, what do you think of Melissa's story?
Yeah, I had the same exact thought as Gina. And then also Melissa's very first sentence, I forget what it was, but it almost sounded like she was reading out of a diary. I was like, this is going to be a very heartfelt personal story, but no, not it. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe she's going to she's like one of the siblings. But it's if this is a true story, and so far I have no reason to believe it's not. It's a very sad story. There's
wow.
A lot of family trauma going on. So
all right. Bordering on a couple of accusations already, and we're not even through with round one yet. We still have one more historian to hear from, and that would be Gina. Sorry, Gina. So Gina, let's come to Gina and have you tell your first round. You have 75 seconds, and the floor is yours.
So everybody celebrated and honored the life of Queen Elizabeth this past year when she passed away. And one of the people who didn't actually get a chance to celebrate or honor her life was her maid of honor from her wedding. Her name was Lady Mary Russell. And Lady Mary was the one, if you see all the pictures, she's the one carrying the long, big train, which actually weighed, I found out, weighed 500 whole pounds. So she had to like literally hold that the whole day, 11 kilograms if we're using European metrics. So she had been her maid of honor and her lady's maid for 74 years. And she actually died the day before Queen Elizabeth was buried. One of the interesting things, though, was that earlier in the year, around Easter time last year, she did an interview about her life with Queen Elizabeth. And she told a beautiful, beautiful story that I don't think very many people know about the royal family. And one is that the couple met when Queen Elizabeth was not actually a queen and was not really intended to be a queen in the family. She was just a princess, and she was 13 years old. And she and her sister Margaret were touring a naval college, and she met Prince Philip, and who also wasn't the prince yet. She met him, and he was 18 years old. And I will tell you more about their story that Lady Mary has told in her interview.
All right. So, Melissa, what did you think of Gina's opening round about Queen Elizabeth and Lady Mary Russell?
Yeah, a 5-pound dress. That's what I'm like stuck on. Did Lady Mary? Did Queen Elizabeth like make her wear the dress for like her wedding? Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
No, sorry, she was the maid of honor. Is the train, and the train is very long. But in addition, she had like this beautiful coat with like, that very royal coat with the white fur and stuff. And that's what weighed the most, was like, because it kind of came out along with the train. It was gigantic. Like if you look up pictures, it's beautiful. But so that's what weighed the most, was she had to carry that.
It sounds like Bridezilla behavior a little bit. For 74 years. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know. She wasn't queen quite yet. So
no. And kudos to Melissa for once again taking the time to get clarification on something she wasn't 100% sure about. Drew, if Lady Mary Russell was in your story, they would call her Bicep Mary, because carrying around that 5-pound thing all day. What do you think of Melissa's story?
Well, for Gina's story,
I'm sorry, Gina's story. Yes.
No, go to Melissa's. Do Melissa.
I'm glad Gina, and back to the 5 pounds, I'm glad she clarified that it was the kilometers that gave us the weight. I was ready to well, how many US dollars is 5 pounds? So I'm glad she clarified that.
Did she say kilometers or not kilograms? What?
Oh, did I say kilometers?
Kilograms.
No,
Kilograms.
I had to look it up because it was in kilograms in the story. But anyway, keep going.
So, and then the other thing that stuck out to me is she's talking about when they met, when Lady Mary met Queen, she was just a princess. Oh, no. Just a princess.
Which also would fit in your story, just saying. Right. So, speaking of Drew's story, Adam, we have seen .1, .2, .3 filled up on the round tracker 9000. That means we're headed to round number 2.
Let's do it. Round 2.
So we're going to come back around in the lineup. We're going to come back around to the top of the lineup here. That brings Drew back out for round number 2. So, Drew, this time we're going to reduce your time from 75 seconds to 60 seconds. So each of the contestants will have 60 seconds in this round number 2 to tell their story. The floor is yours.
Okay.
All right, you want to lead us in? Where were we at?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Castellammarese War, is where I'm going to go and fill you in on this New York Sicilian War.
All right, let's get back to the Sicilian War. The floor is yours.
Okay, so the Castellammarese War was not just a territorial conflict between the Masseria and Maranzano factions. It was also a generational conflict between the old guard Sicilian leadership. They were known as the Mustache Petes. And then the newer, younger kind of mafia members were known as the Young Turks. The Mustache Petes were known for their long mustaches and old world ways, such as refusing to do business with non-Italians. The Young Turks were younger, more diverse. They were pretty much grew up in the U.S. and they were more forward-thinking and had no problem working with non-Italians. This caused followers on both sides to question their leaders, if they were set up for continued success, and resulted in many mobsters switching sides or killing their own allies. This back and forth made it extremely hard for anyone to trust anyone. The Castellammarese War was fought February 1930, April 1931. I'll tell you more in round number 3.
Oh.
All right, nicely done. So just a little over a year year and a couple of months there, from February 1930 to April 1931. Melissa, what do you think of round number 2, hearing about the Castello-Marisi War?
Yeah, I think that the Mustache Pete's and the Young Turks sound like great band names. That's what I think. Just in general.
They do. I'd listen.
I'm writing them down. I'm wondering, talking about switching sides, like all of these names, I'm wondering if like trying to switch things up on us as well.
Yep, interesting. Classic tactic. Gina, what do you think?
Well, there's this Italian word, and it's a code, and it's called omerta. And what that means is that you don't kill other Italians. So I don't believe your story now. So now I'm not sure who was bluffing, because they both have plausible things, but they also have things that have given me pause now. So plausible and plausible at the same time.
Plausible and plausible. Nice. Well, let's go on to historian number 2. Melissa, come on out. You now have 60 seconds to tell us more about Ken and his brother in this story based in California. Go ahead.
All right. So Ken and Harry Akune, the brothers on the brink of World War II. So one day, recruiters come to the camp and they ask specifically for people that can help them with Japanese language. So Ken and Harry sign up and they start creating propaganda for the U.S. Army. And this propaganda is sent to Japanese soldiers that are basically pamphlets that are persuading those soldiers to surrender. So they help them with that. They help them with interrogations of Japanese soldiers. And they ended up playing a pretty large role in World War II. But there's still stories of discrimination at this time. So, for example, Harry tells a story about how he was about to parachute down into enemy territory, essentially. And he looks down and he has his parachute, but no gear. So he's jumping down into enemy territory with no weapons or anything to fight with. But luckily somebody helped them out. But it's alleged that maybe there was some nefarious play at hand. But the truly shocking part happens in part 3.
Well, Drew, some pretty big accusation there of foul play in his gear. What do you think of that story?
It's as shocking as it sounds. I also it's kind of believable because I've watched like enough like World War II docs and kind of know a little bit about like Pearl Harbor. So I gotta say, like, I mean, as shocking as it is, sadly, it's also very believable. So I'm gonna reserve judgment until I hear more.
Okay.
I had a question, if that's okay, Melissa.
We are all about clarification here, Gina. Go ahead.
Okay, Melissa. So I was just curious. You said, and I think because you use pronouns, I want to make sure I understand this. You said that Ken and Harry needed to learn Japanese to write propaganda. Weren't they Japanese already?
No, so the U.S. Army was like going in and asking for people that knew Japanese. They were recruiting them.
Ken and Harry. They did. Okay, because then I was like, Ken and Harry, American, and then they had dual citizenship, but they didn't know Japanese. Okay, but now they did. So that changes my theory. So now I'm not sure. Now I'm still for Drew, because now I kind of sort of am starting to understand your story and maybe believing it, although Ken and Harry still feels very, very made up. So just saying.
All right. Well, wait till you hear later on. We should talk about Harry and the younger brother David starting a candy company. But
what? Right over my head. Right over my head.
It's Harry and David's. They do baskets at the holidays. It's big. It's holiday season. Adam.
Wonderful. If you ever get one, don't give it away.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. So that means that we have to come back to Gina to pick up her story of Queen Elizabeth and Lady Mary Russell and the 5-pound train.
Okay. So I apologize. The 5-pound train is not as integral as you think. So in 1953, I'm so sorry. In 1947, Philip and Queen Elizabeth are married, rather. I'm sorry. Can I start over, Adam? Can I just start over?
Yeah, cool? Sure.
Okay. Let's reset.
Hold on. Hang on. All right. We got it.
Okay. Oh my gosh, it reversed and everything. That's fantastic.
All right, take it down.
Okay,
all right,
I am ready when you are.
You want me to do it? All right, now we're going to go back to story number 3. Gina, you have 60 seconds for this round.
Awesome. So in 1947, they got married. And from the year that they got married, a tradition was started. Every holiday season, the royal family, which now Philip was a part of, would go to a place in Norfolk, England, and they would, a castle that they had there. And they have this big, they had 4 trees that they all decorated. But every evening on Christmas Eve, when Queen Elizabeth would go to bed, and they slept in separate bedchambers, she would always have one. The very first year was a locomotive, but one train car left on her bed every single time. And Lady Mary Russell was the one who put it there. She confessed in the interviews before she passed away. But it was a very sweet token of love from Prince Philip. Later, all of the and just so you know, the kings and the queens and all of the royal families had little nicknames. Queen Elizabeth was London Bridge, and he was Forth Bridge. Now, the Forth Bridge is a bridge that only has trains. And also, when he was in World War II, they wrote back and forth to each other while she was on a train every Christmas going to Norfolk. So it was sort of like an inside thing for them. Very well.
Inside royalty joke there. All right. So we have come to the end of round number 2, I see, because all 3 of the Round Tracker 9000 spots are complete. That means one thing only. That means we're going to round number 3 to hear our conclusions. Adam, take us to round 3, please.
Did we want to get a little input from the other historians first?
Yeah.
My bad.
Why go there? Why do that?
This is for you. No, bad host. We're not ready yet for round 3. We got to hear from the folks.
Yes, indeed. So, Drew, my apologies. I meant to give you some time to talk about Gina's story. What do you think of Queen Elizabeth's story there?
Yeah, well, first of all, nicknames is my story, Gina. Okay, don't be giving these royal family members nicknames. But then you said Queen Elizabeth's nickname was London Bridge. So is like the song "London Bridge is Falling Down"? Is that about her like tripping and falling down the stairs or something?
No, but when she did actually pass away, they did say London Bridge has fallen. So.
Oh.
Really?
Okay.
And it was considered Project Unicorn. I don't know where that one came from, to take her body from Scotland to where she was ultimately buried. But I don't know what that has anything to do with any of the other nicknames, because they were all about bridges. So.
Okay.
Wait, doesn't it make sense?
These are more code names, I think.
I know. I love code names. What'd you say, Adam?
Unicorn, isn't that like the national animal of Scotland?
Oh, I think you might be right. That's adorable. I get it.
It is for somewhere. Anyway, moving on.
Melissa, what do you think of Gina's story?
Yeah, so the names, like the nickname thing, I was also going to say as well, I don't know that I've ever like wanted to be called like a train or a bridge by anybody. Like that's such a weird, I mean, I guess you do you, like that's good for them. That's the way they nicknames. But it seems a little weird.
I mean, but every one of them had it. It wasn't just like those 2. It was like the grandkids, everybody has it. Like if you're royal, you get one.
Wow.
It traveled around the family then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Wait
Adam.
Wait a second.
See what she did there. Now, Adam, we are at the end of round number 2.
Oh, we sure are.
All the spots in the Round Tracker 9000 filled. All the comments heard. So let us move, please, to round number 3.
Let's do it. Round number 3.
All right. Welcome back to round number 3.
It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. Yes, we hope you enjoyed that little break. All 0.6 seconds of it. And
I like to say it. I like to say it as though we have a commercial break.
Yes, exactly. Exactly right. You know, we do. Yeah, someday we will have sponsors. And God, I am hoping and praying that it's Truist Bank, because that way we can say which of our historians is the least truest.
Oh, see, that's perfect. You hear that, Truist? We're waiting. The phone lines are open.
What about Bluffies?
Sure. Yes, Bluffy's Burgers down on 6th and Main. Okay.
All
there
right.
It is.
So,
where are we at, sir?
Where are we at? We are about to see round number 3. And here, round number 3 of Drew's story about the Castello-Maurici War, about Melissa's story about Ken and Harry Akune, and then Gina's story about Queen Elizabeth and the royal family nicknames and all of the wedding related stuff surrounding Queen Elizabeth. So let us come back to Drew. And Drew, you're going to have 45 seconds here in the final round to wrap up. Each historian is going to get 45 seconds to wrap up their story. So please tell us more about the Castello Maurici War and wrap up your story, and you have the floor.
So after many hits and betrayals, the tide turned in favor of the Maranzano family when Lucky Luciano and a few other young Turks chose to switch sides. They concocted a plan to take out Masseria and join Maranzano. Having won the war, Maranzano organized the New York gangs into the 5 families, each with designated territories and a boss. With Maranzano serving as the boss of all bosses, the original 5 families were Lucky Luciano, Joe Bonanno, Joseph Profaci, Vincent Mangano, and Thomas Gagliano. But Maranzano's reign was short-lived. He was murdered in September 1931 by a team of Jewish triggermen hired by Luciano. With both old-timers now eliminated, Luciano and the young Turks took over the mafia in New York.
Wow. Okay. Melissa, what do you think of the Young Turks' rise to power?
Yeah, it's a lot of changing of hands in the last little snippet of time. It felt like a lot of things were happening really quickly. All those names I loved, gone. So just because of that, I'm like, my fun names are gone.
Never a good moment when the fun names are gone. So, all right.
So, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, go, Gina, go.
Oh, I was going to say, if I'm the person who killed Maranzo, I'd be like, oh, look, it's got a Maranzo cherry on top. No. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
That's good.
Gina, what, other than that, did you have any other thoughts about Drew's story?
Kudos to, stumbling through those pronunciations there, buddy. It rolled right off your tongue. So I will say that he's accurate in that there were 5 families in Lucky Luciano, who we also did a story about where Esther took him down. But that is accurate. But I'm from Naples and we don't like Sicilians, so I don't know. I don't really know this story very well as I might should, as well as they probably should. So I'm still questioning it though, because it just was a lot of names and it didn't feel like it just really went anywhere. That's just me though. So okay.
Okay.
I know. But I have to hear Melissa, so I don't know.
That's
true.
Yeah. And Gina, on your note about Drew struggling through that pronunciation, it bears saying out loud for our audio listeners that you take one look at Drew and you will not think Italian.
No, not even a little. That's why it's funny.
I mean, we can DNA test him, but I don't think so. So anyway.
But I will say this on Drew's behalf. You would look at Drew and you would say, journalist about Italians. About Italian mob, maybe.
Oh, yeah, okay. I can see that.
Different twist there.
And he has a writer vibe going. Yeah.
Just for the record, Gina, I was going to say, being from your family from Naples, if you said you didn't like Sicilians, okay, but if you said you didn't like Sicilian pizza, we were going to have a problem. Now we're going to move to Melissa for her final round. Melissa, you're going to have 45 seconds to conclude your story on Ken and Harvey Akune.
All right. We're ready to go. Let's do it.
All right. So the really shocking thing about this family comes out after the war is over, and they all have a family reunion in Japan. And it turns out that Ken and Harry were not the only Akune brothers to fight in World War II, but 2 of the other brothers of the family, Shiro and Saburo, were also fighting for the Japanese Imperial Army, with Shiro being kind of like an orientation recruiter and Saburo being in the Navy, their version of the Navy. And so they found out about this and they're about to fight and got this family reunion, about to throw punches. And then the father comes in and basically just solves it and makes them be peaceful, and then they both move back to America, US, and then eventually they fight together in Korea.
Wow.
And then they started a car company, the Subaru.
Oh jeez. Oh, that's all right.
Did anyone else visualize the father coming in and just doing the 3 Stooges on him, banging their heads together and saying, cut it out?
Yes. That's exactly what I was picturing.
I pictured him coming in and not having to say a word, and they just stopped because, right.
Yeah. Let's hear from Drew. Drew, what'd you think of Melissa's story there?
Well, I've been taking notes, and at round number 1, she said there was 9 siblings. So we have only 4 accounted for. So there's 5 other siblings that we don't know whose side they were on. So that's the scary part to me. Yeah, this sounds like it should be a movie if it's not already, because some big epic, Michael Bay movie or some sappy Lifetime movie, either or. I don't know.
Like Saving Private Subaru or something like that. Like,
yeah, that's original. Never heard anything like
never,
that.
never. Well, no, Drew, I agree with you because there were 5 brothers and she only mentioned 4. I was taking notes as well. So what happened to the other brother, Melissa?
Maybe he was a pacifist. I don't know.
he's on the sidelines with like picketing.
Yeah.
In my mind, Gina, he became a line chef somewhere, and he's the one that came up with acune frittata.
Oh, no. Dude, how long have you been sitting on that one?
I just thought of it.
No.
I just thought of it 10 seconds ago. All right. Now we have heard round 3 stories from Drew, from Melissa. That leaves us with Gina and the Queen. So, Gina, please wrap up your story. Your concluding round has 45 seconds, and the floor is yours.
So Lady Mary spoke very highly in her interview about King Philip and or whatever they called him, Prince Philip and Lady Elizabeth. I'm sorry, but she did. And so she just thought that they were beautiful, and she said that a lot of people didn't get to see their romance. And Philip had enlisted her to do the train thing every Christmas Eve. He also enlisted her to help with different pranks. Like one time, she helped him dress up like a royal guard, and he followed Queen Elizabeth around all day. About halfway through the day, she finally realized it was him, et cetera, et cetera. So now Prince Philip knew he was passing away, and before he died, he made an arrangement with Lady Mary Russell. And the arrangement was that on the last Christmas of the year that he died, that she placed a caboose on her bed. And that was his last train gift to her.
Wow.
Isn't it beautiful?
From beyond the grave, he's telling her the gig is up for him.
Yikes. Yikes.
True.
Oh, and they put the train around one of the Christmas trees in the great room, and it got longer and longer every year. 74 trains.
Wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
Drew, what do you think?
You said 74 trains?
I apologize, 73. Because I guess they were married 73 years, and then, so yeah.
73. So the question is, did 73 trains weigh 5 pounds?
Mary had to carry them every year. It got longer and longer. She was buff though.
That's for our sister show, Math Bluffs.
It's a very touching story. Very touching story. Also could be a Lifetime movie. Probably will be someday. I feel like this story was missing Ken and Harry.
It's Harry and William. So.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
There you go. All right, Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm worried that you went a little off the rails there. Like, it just feels like you needed to pull the brakes on some of these train references. It's a lot of trains for a romance. But, I guess some people like to, quote, do the train thing, as you said.
I thought it was a sweet tradition. I thought, do you not like romance, Melissa?
I like romance, but the train seems like over the top. Like, I don't need a train in the middle of everything. I don't know.
I kind of in my mind, I kind of mesh a little bit of like Queen Elizabeth as one of the mafia dons and saying, "Enough with the trains already over there."
Another freaking train. Yeah.
I like the way she tied the story up, really.
Yes.
No, that's not bad. It's a little train nerd. I'm thinking I don't know that much about trains. All right.
But that's a good one though, Adam.
Thanks.
Well, we are at the point of the show now where we have heard all 3 stories from all 3 historians in all 3 rounds. That is where we are. And that means that we are at the point of the story of the show where we have to find out which of our 3 historians are bluffing. Which one is tonight's bluff? So
you want us to guess first?
Yeah, let's get right to it. Let's get right to it.
Okay.
Drew, who do you think is the bluff and why?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I really could flip a coin. I think everything Melissa said sounds feasible. with her story, I'm thinking it's the information that wasn't there, that the missing information that I want to hear that would make it seem more of a bluff. If that makes any sense. And Gina's story with the trains and everything, I'm going to just say I think Gina is the bluff. The train stuff.
An accusation for Gina. We're going to historian number 2, Melissa. What do you think? Who's the bluff?
Yeah, so the names were a nice little, a nice detail for Drew's story, but I think some of those names sound familiar, so I'm actually going to go with Gina's love train story. The Royals. I don't know if he really conducted it well.
Not Soul Train, but Love Train.
Don Cornelius would still like it, even though it's not Soul Train. So we have one accusation to Regina. Then we have a second accusation to Gina. I don't think you're going to make it unanimous, but please tell us, who do you think is the bluff, Gina?
First of all, people don't even believe in love anymore. That's rude.
What's love got to do with it? That's what they're asking.
I don't know. Okay, so I do believe, I don't know, Drew's story read to me as the most true, and then Ken and Harry just felt like that. It just felt fake. I'm sorry, but it just did. And it's like, so I will have to go with Melissa on this one. So I'm sorry, Melissa.
We have 2 accusations for Gina, 1 accusation for Melissa. Let's find out from the person that knows. Adam, take it away.
All right. I have my perpetrators lined up, and I alone have the secret knowledge of who the bluff was. Was your bluff on this episode of History Bluffs? Was it Drew? Was your bluff Melissa? Could your bluff have been Gina? Prepare for the knowledge. Your bluff this whole show has been Gina.
You guys got me!
Oh,
that sucks. I thought it was a really sweet story, and that
It was-
you.
It was very sweet.
I thought it was timely. Also, that she just passed away, and I was like, how could they vote against that?
Oh, indeed. Too soon, guys. Too soon.
All right. I know for next time. Wait at least a year. Okay.
Yep.
No, it has been a year. So
Statute up. Has it? Yeah, probably.
all right.
Yeah.
not
There
quite
you go.
here, but well done, all 3 of you. Great
Trains.
stories. Trains.
No big
Great stories, everyone. Thank you. Go ahead, yes, Gina.
Chris, I do want to let everybody know that the code name part is real. So that was
Oh,
sort
that's
of the
awesome.
inspiration.
And was her code name really London Bridge?
Yeah. And they really
wow.
did say London Bridge has fallen.
Wow.
Wow.
They were just
And it
waiting to
was
say
really
that.
planned unicorn. It was. So
Somebody came up with that idea in the late 60s probably. It was like, she's getting old. We're going to be able to say London
We're gonna
Bridge
be
has
able to, yeah.
fallen. And those people who thought of it died decades ago.
yeah, but
She-
my gosh, was that funny?
Yeah.
She had the last laugh.
did.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for this evening. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of History Bluffs Inspired by Family. We are back again next week with another episode. Please tune in. Watch us live on YouTube and Twitch, and listen to our podcast. And Adam, please take us away.
Let's do it. You heard him. Tune in. You can see us live, YouTube, Twitch, and of course, where you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time. Laugh and learn with us. See you then.